Okay, maybe we should start with this panel. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to the panel, Belgrade and Serbia Hospitality Potential. Today we have great guests, good friends of mine, and associates for many years. Professor Renata Pinjo, now professor on the FEFA, Faculty of Economics, Finance and Administration. Also Communications Director at Foreign Investors Council. And I have to say, former Assistant Minister for Tourism for how many years? 14 years. So a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge. Mr. Alexander Vasilievich, President of Steering Committee of HORES, Local Association of Hoteliers and Restaurateurs, and Professor Igor Kovacevic, Professor from Faculty of Economics, former Director, as our friend Živorad Vasic said earlier, of Convention Bureau for how many years? 6, 7, okay. And Director of Pavilion in Dubai, Expo 2027 for Republic of Serbia. So, instead of course, my name is Branislav Miletić, and I'm Director of Horvat HTL Belgrade office, also in tourism and hospitality for more than 15 years now. We are off to a different kind of start for this panel. So to begin, I would like to ask how many people in the audience we have from abroad. Okay, perfect. So here comes the question to you guys. What is the first association for you when somebody tells you Belgrade? Anybody? Come on. Nice clubbing. Okay. Climate, nice climate, okay. Everybody hears what they want to hear. Nice clubbing. Okay. Weather. Radisson collection. Okay. I can appreciate that. Come on, guys. Associations, Belgrade. What come? Rivers. Okay. Work in progress. Okay, fine. But in terms of highlight from the previous panel. Okay. And what about Serbia? Is that different, or when you say Belgrade, it's the same association, or how do you feel about Serbia? Different.
Belgrade is different.
Okay. Undiscovered. Okay. So it exceeds expectation for visitors and tourists.
I don't know if it exceeds, but everyone that I work here says
It's different.
what they expected.
Uh-huh.
They expected much less.
Yeah, they expect less.
Okay.
The thing is, can I jump in for a second?
Of course.
The thing is, I'm here maybe the youngest one, but I've been in the tourism for like 15 years. And 15 years ago, maybe Renata can say that if I'm wrong, but these words like undiscovered, potential, exceeds expectations. We are speaking about it for the last 15 years. We never went a step further. It's always the same. So Belgrade and then the rest of Serbia and unexpected.
Yes, actually, we were in charge of preparing a new draft of strategy for tourism development for the next 10 years, and it's still in the work in progress. So the main thing is that there is basically no valid or consistent international recognition of both Belgrade and Serbia in terms of image and market positioning. And this is something that we have been struggling for at least for last 15 years, as I know. And we started with this as a sort of a focal point for this future strategy. And we expect that it should trigger some kind of institutional support about this. Other buzzwords, as you can imagine, are of course sustainability, digitalization, crisis management, and of course skilled workforce. And basically this is a sort of an outline that we should tap into today. The first question that I have for my colleague and the former boss Renata Pinjo is, do we have continuous institutional support, and how do you feel this will develop in terms of some kind of institutional framework, given that this is a conference that should target investors and parties that are interested in hospitality?
Yes, thank you very much. At the beginning, I would like to thank you to organizers and to my colleagues for the invitation. And also, at the beginning, I really can agree with my dear colleague Igor that almost 15 years we speak about potentials, about undiscovered tourist destinations, etc., etc. One colleague of mine said that tourism were, how to say, undercover completely 15 years ago. Now there is some, of course, some progress. Some statistics shows we are more present, but the question is it enough? Do we go in the right direction? We cannot speak about real estate and hospitality development in general if we do not speak about our strategic orientation as a destination, as tourism policies, in what we want from our destination, what we or when we will reach some goals, etc., etc. Do we have support of institutions? In general, tourism has support. But is it, how to say, consistent? Not only consistent, but is it only general, but it's a real, let's say, deep support regarding, considering that prioritization of tourism is a element of tourism competitiveness index, which is probably the worst when we speak about Serbia. So let's say if we talk in general declaratively, we have support. But I believe, and according to my previous experience, I think that support is not enough. I can connect this with the lack of knowledge. What are the possibilities, or what is the tourism for modern society and modern economy? And so in that regard, there are of course some other institutions which could help or which are trying to guide this development in some direction. Now I'm presenting here also one of the associations, business association, which is Foreign Investors Council, which encompasses foreign companies or foreign developers or foreign brands. It doesn't matter, who really change this initial stage of Serbian tourism, which was 15 years ago, and which brings, I will only say two things, and then I will leave my colleagues, which brings technology and professional know-how, and not only investments, but also the knowledge for further development. Now I will stop and I will give a chance to others to speak.
Okay, Mr. Vasiljević. Aha, okay. Da.
Yes, Mr. Miller.
How do you feel about institutional support, and do you feel that there are some changes that will put the light on the perspective that we can say there is a light in the end of the tunnel, that we have some kind of vision, and that this work in progress, as our colleague Ivana said, will come to a fruitful end?
Generally, honestly speaking, as a private stakeholder, I'm not feeling that institutional support. Generally, we as a private company, we are pushing institutionals to work their job, and this is something that needs to be changed, and they need to be service of us. But generally, everything is returning on lack of everything, because at the moment we have lack of workforce, lack of awareness, lack of marketing, lack of teacher, lack of professor, lack of management. In the end, it's not good. Because of that, even now, you have now lack of the people that working in institutional, because it's not any more benefit. Because there is no many people that is working, and it's not more benefit. So, from the strategy point of view, this is the good that we have strategy, but that strategy needs to be continuously from mandate to mandate. So it needs to be older than egg, than ministry. And we all...
A mechanism of cooperation between private and public sector. Do you see this as something that can be a long-term partnership viable, so decision makers from public sector can receive some kind of support? Because I believe that's the idea with the Foreign Investors Council. And I know that Jorge has been present here for 50 years. And what is your opinion, how this should happen, and will it happen at all?
I'm quite skeptical. Generally, I'm skeptical for the last 20 years. When we were preparing for this panel, we were talking that if I'm someone that I would pay to Air Serbia at the moment as a restaurant owner, I will pay the last 2 years, I will pay 100 euros every month, because they support and they brought some tourists. They develop so many destinations, and they think this is very good for Serbia. I'm not working for Air Serbia, but things that now we have a volume, and now we have a volume of people that now can see Belgrade and Serbia. For example, there was 2 weeks ago, there was 20 people from Brazil was coming and visiting Serbia. I was asking, you came for business or leisure? Leisure. After that you're going to region or not? No, we came to Serbia. You came for 7 days just to Serbia for leisure. How you came?
I see that you are still shocked about this.
Yes, I'm still shocked. Brazilian visiting Serbia for a leisure business. I'm still shocked. So regarding that, it will be very difficult, because everybody tourism is seeing as then some events is happening, then everybody's happy because of tourism, like Final Four, like some world sport events. But after that, they're forgetting on tourism how important it is for country.
And being present on the market as a GM, do you see the pattern of the demand that has it changed compared to previous years in terms of the structure of guests and who is coming?
Before Corona 2019, we had literally we knew every month what country is coming, who is coming on January, who is coming on February. There was a pattern. After COVID finished, generally we don't have so much pattern. Definitely we have a huge recovery, and that recovery last 2 years is enormous, and we returned on the right track 2 years ago, but this year will be double-digit growth in relation with 2019. So for sure, the good thing is happening. Who is the people that coming to Belgrade and Serbia? I don't know anymore. Who is the company? Okay, business is developing, but also you have a huge volume of tourists coming, because now we reach the number and volume without Chinese market that didn't travel for a few years, and before COVID it was 5% of the market of Serbia. So everybody's coming to Belgrade.
And to Serbia?
And to Serbia, still missing the foreign guests and foreign tourists, but this is something that we will have after the implementation of strategy.
Let's hope so. So, Professor Kovačević, as somebody who is advisor in the office of the Prime Minister at the moment, can you tell us something? What do you see as sort of a pipeline of meaningful activities that should be done in order to utilize this potential work in progress and etc. What we discussed?
For sure, jump back to the previous panel where they have discussed the coming of international chain properties and Belgrade and smaller cities, which is perfect. But because for some time I work as a public entity in a convention bureau, and when I speak with the owners, with the management bodies, they all came here to take a piece of cake, but they never brought their own cake. Meaning when they open the Hilton or ISG or whatever called a Radisson, they just want a piece of the market. But when I tell to them, okay, let's use your brand outside and your sales channels to bring the tourists, this is where the communication ends. And this is the problem of the owners on the management company that we all need to work together on. Sometimes there were some initiatives, but if you just rely on what is government or public entities doing for the aspect of the promotion, it's not enough. That is the reason why we have started some kind of a public-private cooperation in the field of the business and events. And this showed great results, because finally we had something which is tangible. We can actually feel business events happening all over Belgrade and in Serbia. On average, just for you, estimate is that in Serbia there is approximately over 20,000 business events happening, like 60-70% corporate, 30-40% association events. Out of those, maybe 10% are international clients, meaning money coming from abroad. And in terms of the business happening in Belgrade, approximately 40-50% are business guests, individuals, and then additional 20%, maybe 25 business groups. So when you take on average, there are no actual leisure groups or a very small number of FIT leisure guests coming, which actually demonstrates that in the last 15 years, we had actually used this great development of the hotels with the great meeting facilities. And now what is happening, we have full reconstruction of the Sava Center up and running in this November with two big conferences of international associations, which are going to bring in November like 4,000 or 5,000 people in Belgrade, which means that this year, November, according to the SCR, most probably be very good in comparing to the previous years, or at least I hope so. And this actually shows that we can actually compete not now with Slovenia, with Ljubljana and Zagreb, but now we compete with Vienna, Barcelona, New York, all these great destinations. We used to try that before, but now we really have the capacities. At the same time, now I'm currently working on the project which is called Ložionica.
We will come to that later.
But this business side of the business events is something that actually brings a lot of value to the market, and also brings a value to the other destinations outside Serbia in the spring and autumn season.
So is it safe to say, when we are discussing this overall environment, that there is, so to say, that we can say, I'm trying to choose the right word, We are utilizing on market trends that are basically organic, that are not guided by anybody. This is something that I understood from your discussion, and there are some emerging opportunities. And when we are talking about the development not only in Belgrade, but in Serbia as well, do you see how can an investor capitalize on this? Do we have enough capacities for transfer mice, for instance, if we are talking about this?
Meetings and events capacities, every time you speak with a new investor, whether it is domestic or international, obviously they are looking forward to get the revenue from the meetings and events happening, because there is a strong increase in a domestic, regional, and international demand. If you have a good quality of those meetings and events capacities outside the Belgrade, more and more.
Do we have this or not?
We have more and more. Now we have, and I think in comparison to the region, our meeting and event capacities outside the city of Belgrade, like Vrdnik, like Zlatibor, Kopaonik, are very, very quality, and they can compete on the international level. The thing is, if the service level is now, in this point of time, following these infrastructure capacities, but yes, we can. And we see, when you speak with the people, they're trying actually to get more revenue from the meetings and events. Then they add to these commercialized events like weddings and receptions, which is again the huge market. And this is something where actually they're trying to put also people into the rooms outside the Belgrade to get the revenues from the rooms. And this entire market is growing. And this is something that I cannot say for a typical leisure guest and the leisure tourism. This is only for the meetings and events.
You said service quality, and this is an excellent point, because now I would like to ask Alexander, we will come back to sustainability later, but this is something that is very interesting, a level of service, skilled workforce. It's something that is quite often presupposed or overseen or whatever when somebody is making business plans and calculations. Workforce comes as something that is there, but is it really there?
No, there is. But just before that, I want to say just to Igor that I don't think so that we have enough hotel capacity.
In
Yes,
Belgrade
we have
or in
in
Serbia?
Belgrade. In Belgrade, in Serbia, at the moment we have enough. We need just maybe to develop some tourist destination. But in Belgrade, for sure, we don't have enough capacity, because this year and last year you had 3 or 4 blackouts date and everything that it's about 1,000 participants. Your IDAM filling the New Belgrade or Old Town. So especially after the Sava Center will open until end of the year probably, or something like that, for sure we will need more capacity.
How many keys you believe we are missing?
At the moment we are missing for sure we're missing between 600 and 1,000 keys. This is something
For current market conditions.
for current market.
Okay.
For current market, because I think chain-wise, regarding chain-wise, yes, but from the other side, at the moment it's not possible 100% to fulfill with the workforce those 600 and 1,000 keys, because as I said on the beginning, you have a lack of workforce, you have a lack of management, you have a lack of teachers, professors, everything. At the moment, until end of the year, probably I will have between 10 or 15 employees that is foreigner. I'm already start looking abroad people, management capacity to return to Serbia. So we are approaching a little bit to European community and EU, so salary is going up. So whoever is investing, be careful, because labor cost will increase for sure.
So attracting workforce, retaining skilled workforce, this is a problem. And now we are in the field of importing people, if I understand well.
At the moment, because of the recovery after the COVID, you cannot, for 2 years I didn't have 100% of workforce on their spot according to budget. I'm missing all the time 5 or 6. It depends on the partner.
But I know that, for instance, Horace has done a lot of work in terms of trainings and education, etc. What happened to these people? What happens with people coming from universities?
They are not interesting, and now you have confrontation with.
They don't work in hospitality at all?
No, they don't work in hospitality.
Okay.
This is confrontation with Generation Z, which is maybe the biggest problem, because there was a statistic that I was read 1 month ago. So Generation Z expecting salary in the United States of $167,000 a year, but they are working the business that generating between 60 and 70,000 years. They're doing delivery and not interesting that doing something creatively that maybe can fulfill the budget of 167. So they don't want to work and they want money. So this is the biggest problem, and we will continue to import people because we don't have any more stuff.
The same question to both of you, because you're coming from university. What happens with people that we produce for hospitality and tourism?
Well, I work a lot with the students, but what happened is that the COVID created the image of tourism as non-reliable business sector. And you can feel that the moment you go to the bank to take a loan, when they ask you where you're working, I'm working in a hotel or the agency, you're like X mark the spot, and then you cannot get the loan. So the students that finish with me, some of them stay in the business. Usually they will go because we're a business of economics, so most probably in the accounting sector or the finance of the hotels, or I will support them finding the job in some of the event agencies and professional congress organizers. But this is a very small percentage, because all of them, they want to be GMs, but they do not understand that the road starts as a doorbell guy or a night reception. So for them, it's a little bit hard to understand. I'm not really sure who makes their expectations high. Maybe the parents, because we also have the new age parents, you know. So that's why we import the stuff now.
Well, I agree with my colleagues that a workforce issue probably will one of the, let's say, the most important topics when an investor decides where to invest. I would like also remind my colleagues that for years this sector in Serbian economy was, let's say, on the latest place regarding the salaries and working conditions, and unfortunately we are now paying the price. Of course, the COVID-19 accelerated this. But to be honest, the trends, the tourism trends are changed when we speak about demand, but also when we speak about offer. And regarding this, I'm not sure if there is a bright, let's say, solution or position of Serbia in all this region in the future. And I know that members of foreign investors councils and also of Horace Association a few years ago started to invest more in a workforce, but the salaries are not enough anymore. As Alexander said, this is new generation. But working conditions or some work-life balance or something, this is what they need more. But definitely workforce is probably or one question number one in this work-intensive industry. And I think that in this segment also is very strong partnership between public and private sector is needed. Until now, it is I am not sure that exists in the matter what is needed. And also in this segment, we can find that let's say, institutional support is sometimes declarative, not truly, but maybe they don't know, or they're not aware of what they need to do, or or how tourism and consequently hospitality tourism is let's say complex, and that so many things will influence on our desired result at the end of the way.
So just to try to conclude, sorry.
No, I wanted to tell you the story. On 2008, my first GM role was in this hotel. I was general manager of this hotel for 2.5 years. And the line for practice in this hotel was 100 meters. When we had an open day, here it was in 2010. I think I was the most popular person in Belgrade at that time. But the problem is that also you have that willing moment of the people. They don't want to, you don't have any more people that have passion for hospitality, to like this business, because this business, the hospitality is the most beautiful business. And the problem is you don't have people with passion. This is the problem. I'm a general manager for 13 years. Behind me, I have 2-3 general managers that I made, 5-6 director of sales of international chains, a lot of food and beverage. The last 2 years, I don't see talent, potential to be something else.
Okay, if I may conclude, so you told us something about the market conditions and being the lowest paid sector, and so we don't have competitive salaries, benefits and career opportunities are limited. I'm talking about perception. I'm not talking about
perception. It is.
I'm talking about perception. So something should be done about it. And
but in that sense, the stronger support of institutions, or let's say this work together, is much more needed, because the future generations, or I don't know, students, or whatever, people who are willing to work in this industry, need to know that there is prosperity in this industry, and they will not know that there is a prosperity if there is no, let's say, public support, if there is no stronger not only support, but readiness actions very visible in tourism and hospitality.
Just thinking about this, how meaningful is to produce people in this sector if they don't work here, and in that respect, if we are talking about potential, and we all agree that there is a huge potential in hospitality and tourism, both in Serbia and Belgrade as a primary hub. So do you see it's nice to attract people to attend schools and finish something, get their knowledge and skills in both formal and informal education, but how do you see this problem will resolve, to say this? Are we going to import workforce, or we are going to have domestic workforce? What do you do as Hilton in terms of employer branding?
I'm doing everything.
Okay.
I'm literally doing everything. I'm not a general manager. Last 2 years, I'm more HR director than a general manager. So I'm recruiting, I'm training, I'm doing stipend for the pupil. I'm trying to find the talent. I'm doing also. I want just to continue. What is the problem? At the moment, as somebody from the previous panel said, resident and selling the real estate in hospitality.
Branded residences.
Branded residence is the future.
Okay.
So initially, we have the following. Investor is just thinking about the exit selling residence, about the true core returning of investment based of hospitality is not exist anymore. Because initially you have before that revenue that is coming from selling the residence. And after that is returning money from the hospitality, correct?
More or less, but it also is connected with a risk perception in this country, which Igor explained, which brings us and to our next topic that is also can be a advantage or a huge constraint. And when we are talking about sustainability, I know that Renata has been dealing with this for at least 15 years. So can you put some light in, from the perspective now you are running communications in FIC, and you coordinate this working group within FIC for tourism and hospitality. So what is the perception from the side of investors, how this issue is important, and what are the key challenges?
In that regard, I'm afraid that we can still talk about investing if we talk about from the investor's perspective in Belgrade, in the rest of the Serbia. I read one interesting data for me. UNWTO reported that 87% of let's say, participants in one worldwide survey said that they need capacity building for sustainable investing. Not only in destinations, but also investors and all other participants when we are talking about investing in tourism and hospitality sector.
If you put it in context of Serbia, what this exactly means?
Put it in this context, it means that I'm afraid that especially when we are talking about the rest of the Serbia, our destination operators and our investors, they don't care much about these issues. We are now in the phase probably that in some more developed destinations were decades ago. There is this cycle of investing, this is obviously, but we are now in the phase that in some the largest or the most important destination outside of Belgrade, this we are exactly in that situation that there is over investing, or they are investing in some capacities which are not in line with any sustainable recommendation, any SDG, this is something, and I'm afraid that the future will show that we cannot count on some serious markets if we continue in that direction. Belgrade is something different, and I agree with Igor that said that that investor came and they portion or the share of the cake, etc. And I can assume that in some years it will continue to go in that way, because if we compare Belgrade with some other markets, I think that we are still not comparable regarding the brands, regarding the presence of international chains. We are in a much better situation, and investors in Belgrade, and which, for example, all our members are investors, foreign investors, which have their investments in Belgrade or management contract or to whatever. So they are motivated with some other facts. But at the end of the day, this sustainability moment will prevail, and probably we are lucky because the international chains like Hilton and some other, they are implementing their sustainability policies, but they are not pushed from public sector or some other surroundings here to develop, to sustainably develop their investments.
I suppose that we are going to hear something about this on the resort panel. So talking about destinations and key issues, but I think that generally all of us can agree that the huge challenge and obstacle will remain a lack of controlled development of the destinations and severe derogation of space, which will which probably has influence on this, what Alexander told us about building branded residency service apartments and having this turnover ASAP for the investors. To end on a positive note, so I will turn to Igor, and I have two questions. We have tomorrow we have this voting for Expo 2027. So for those of you who don't know, Serbia and Belgrade submitted a bid for hosting Expo 2027, a special exhibition. This is a specialized exhibition, Expo 2027. So can you tell us something about this kind of huge projects, initiatives, and maybe smaller? You mentioned Ložionica, how this will influence the overall image and appeal of the market, and how do you see this kind of ventures, not only in Serbia, but not only in Belgrade, but in Serbia in general?
So,
is this meaningful?
Yes, of course. From the perspective of the building the international brand, putting the bid for the Expo 2027 actually put a spotlight on tourism, on Serbia, and of course on tourism of Serbia, because now maybe in rare occasions we are competing with really big competitors like the United States, Spain, Argentina, and so on. And creating this bid document was really hard because you need to, really touch the essentials and why Serbia will be a good host. On the other side, this kind of a project actually bring additional value to the real estate market of Serbia, because now you will see exponential development happening in the municipality of Surčin, which is closer to the Belgrade airport, and then extension of the Belgrade waterfront on even more prime location than even now. So basically this bid is a call for the further urban development of the city according to the accepted rules and regulations, or however you want to call it. And also in the same time, currently I'm also a part of the project called Ložionica, which is the reconstruction of the old railway station and garage, happening really in the heart of the Belgrade waterfront project. And this is going to be the multi-purpose event center, focusing on two aspects. The first one is the further development of the creative industries, and the second one is a new event center happening in the city center with approximately, 10,000 square meters of the event space, indoor and outdoor. And this is happening maybe 5 minutes from the St. Regis, future St. Regis, or the Belgrade Tower. So these kind of developments, again with the Sava Center, demonstrates that I really think that the business events and any kind of events for the Belgrade and Serbia are the prime product or the prime tourism product, and maybe the only product that is not happening organically, but it's really, we have system measures for the last 15 years or so working specifically on this market, trying to build the scene for the meetings and events. And this is why when you speak with international investors and the management companies, most of them are chain properties in 4 and 5 segments, focusing on this type of the guests, which is perfect for the meetings and events. But then what is happening with the leisure tourism, and so on.
What do you expect will happen with leisure tourism? And let's end with that.
No, it will increase. This is for sure.
Okay.
It increases because on the global level it increases.
Okay, global level, and we still not use destinations, so it will increase. This is for sure.
We are still undiscovered.
So,
We are still undiscovered.
no, we are still undiscovered. So
Yeah.
regarding for sure leisure, but also you have a lot of repeaters regarding the leisure segment. You have individuals that like here. So
We also need to, I think, the guy from the Windham Hotel spoke more about Albania, And although this year is one of the best years in terms of the tourism volume in Serbia, but Albania is, I think, is on the plus 17, and it is the world highlight of the tourism happening currently in Albania, without maybe proper and best infrastructure and hotels or whatever, but maybe someone over there is actually thinking about tourism in a different way. I know you've been done some projects in Albania, but maybe now it's really the final time so we can actually start working on this.
Maybe now is the time to work something in Serbia.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, and in this regard, I just want to point out that FAC, together with its distinguished members and with our colleagues from HORES and of course all our tourism experts, initiated, but we are now in the starting point, let's say together with the EBRD, and the next level is IFC, to create more suitable programs for our private sector, to involve them in a sustainable tourism development according to some guidelines and rules. And I think it could be, of course, for that we need a partnership with the state, but I think it's a good direction for probably SMEs in our sector, and SMEs will, let's say, should be guided with foreign investor companies or brands or multinational companies. So I think, as far as I know, that Albania also implement in some previous period, and I think it's now it's time for Serbia. And I really do hope that next time will not be undiscovered, but we will use we use our much potential. But okay, 1 year, 2 years, but it's important to make a difference in between.
That was the conclusion from previous panel, that we need more private investors, as I remember. But
I'm sorry. I really hope that next year we will have some more tangible results regarding this kind of programs, and in that case, we'll need to have a strong support from public sector. And but also this will be the good channel for education of investors, which is also important.
this is being recorded, so we can revisit this next year, hopefully with some results.
Okay, they said in the previous panel we need more investors, but we need to educate investors. Because the aspect of sustainability has actually three sub-aspects. First one is economical, the second one is sustainability of the local municipality and the people, and the last one is environmental sustainability. And from the investor point of view, as long as they're economically sustainable, then you will have Zlatibor and Koponik over, erecting of the building and the hotels, because the money comes and goes very fast, and this is their logic. But when it comes to the benefit of the local communities and the local people, and especially environment, we are still far away from that.
Okay, let's turn to the audience. Any comments, questions, remarks, please?
Just on sustainability, I wanted to add one more thing that we noticed specifically and related to workforce. So younger generation, Gen Z, they do require from their employees to be sustainable. And I think that's one really big piece. And in different conferences, I spoke with various people. And we also get questions like how sustainable you are. So young generation really does care for that. So maybe also one of the elements that hotels need to think of attracting more younger generation is that sustainability pledge, because they do care for that a lot.
I would say that the young generations, like in Western Europe and here, are different. Generation Z in Germany, France, Spain, and in Serbia are completely different, because over there they do not think about how to survive a month. Here we have other aspects in France. So from my perspective, particularly the students, when speaking about the sustainability, yeah, we
No, but regarding that, I allow them to work part-time. I allow them to work earrings. I allow them to have tattoo. I accept everything. I accept everything. And just imagine 10 years ago, having someone coming to hospitality with an earring or something like that. So I allow everything, because now it's that time. So me as old school, I accept all your trends, and you need just to be nice, polite, and to smile. Just that. This is initially enough for hospitality, correct?
Yes, but this is the only one parcel, only one part of overall approach to tourism and hospitality sustainable development. So this is probably the most important part because it's a work-intensive industry. But all other segments which we had spoken about here are only parts of big picture that we should, let's say, to have. And this picture, let's say, new strategy and this support of all public stakeholders, but also private stakeholders, needs to on that way in implementing the let's say our goals.
Okay. Any more thoughts? Come on, people, you fell asleep, but I understand we are standing between you and your lunch, so this is probably something that we should wrap up and finish. So sorry.
I have a question. Yesterday I was a part of the panel for customer experience. Here we are talking about professionals from our side of real estate developers, hotel owners, and others from real estate. As you mentioned during this panel, the relation of the staff with the clients. This is a very important part. They create customer experience for the visitors. Is that a possibility that in educational part or some other initiative, we create some kind of education for the hospitality industry, especially, with aim to rise up the customer experience?
At the moment, I think that first we need to implement work habit before everything. First work habit, and after that customer relation. It's very easy. Everything that kids are pulling is pulling from the home, and as we said, we have now new generation parents. I am among them because I have 3 kids, and then believe me, I have a headache because they're 6, 8, 9, and they are, for some issues, are much more progressive than me. I don't know to use Snapchat. I really don't know to use Snapchat. So regarding that, I'm part of old school, and I'm trying to implement some values that I was learning from my parents. But the question mark is, maybe it's not correct. Maybe I need to adjust to them. So
the additional questions, and I think that it goes in line with what Slobodan asked. Do international chains, how international chains ensure this customer experience? Is it a guarantee if you come to work in Hilton that you will deliver a promise of your brand?
No, I mean, I have, I mean, all of you are traveling. I just said, I was in Hilton, Shangri-La, W in
depends
in
how
Dubai.
much fees you are paying.
No, in Dubai, paying a lot of money for what? For experience. There is no experience because they're working. They have staff, but it's not Hilton, it's not Shangri-La, it's not W, and so on and so on. I mean,
Now you
in competing again, us service level here. We need to work on it, but it's better than in some, let's say, more prominent countries and properties.
Okay.
And also, at the end, I would like to add regarding the staff, because they need to support and to bring, let's say, they are part of customer experience, of course. I'm afraid that in most cases that those who teach the children need to permanently upgrade and innovate their knowledge and their experience. Need to be taught, and I am afraid that all of us need to be permanently educated and teach and
Lifelong
follow the trends. But this is something younger. If we want to attract the best young people to work and to further develop our industry. Without that, I think that our perspective is not good. Let's say.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Please.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the great panel. Lots to learn and lots to hear. I was wondering, and I'm obviously biased, but Serbia is a beautiful country. It's not very big. It's got an abundance of resource and pretty good weather. What are the chances of Serbia becoming a destination for sustainable tourism, for truly sustainable? Because people are looking for, to reduce their footprints, and this could be an opportunity.
Well, Slovenia did it already, and is still doing that very well. Not really sure about it. So
But just to add some one note, if we are talking about this. The number of visitors per number of inhabitants, Slovenia has 6 times bigger index than Serbia. So talking about sustainability, I believe that we still have a chance to do something right.
I agree, but it's boring after 10.
But it's a process. But at the end, I should finish my sentence. This is a process, and this process includes all levels of our society. And I'm afraid that we are coming back on the first sentence of this panel. Do we need the support of public sector? And only in that interaction we can succeed. And it will depend on us. So Foreign Investor Council will be here to provide the support.
Okay. Are we positive about Belgrade and Serbia hospitality and tourism potential?
About potential, we are always positive.
Tourism potential, yes.
Potential. Work in progress.
Work in progress.
Any final thoughts from you guys?
Ivana Nešković, she have all the figures, so
Yeah,
she will tell you that
I know
she's
this.
very
She will
positive.
control what we discussed today, and she will tell us next year whether we did something
I'm
or
positive
not.
about the Belgrade, not sure about the rest of Serbia.
Okay.
But anyhow, this is our task, just to convince and to take our strength through the different organizations to push probably this or probably new government or new ministers in charge for this sector to implement what we at the end of the day proposed.
Mr. Vasiljevic?
We need to find younger people because we are fighting for 15 years, so we need to find younger people.
In the end, I will just use this opportunity to thank Mr. Opsenica for persevering for 16 years organizing this event and believing in hospitality and tourism. It hasn't been easy. It's easy now to talk about hospitality and tourism in 2023, but I don't believe that it was so easy in 2020 and 2021. So thank you very much, and thank you guys for attending our panel, and see you next year.
Let's go to lunch.
Yeah.